right? The four fields. Anybody remember the four fields? Uh, Economics was one of the field. Anybody remember any of the others? Let me see if you all remember taking notes or remembering. Uh, right? Economics was one of the field we dealt with. IT is another area, right? Computer sciences. Um, or I'll use the word technology, right? So you have economics, we have technology, yeah. Anybody remember any of the other categories? There are four categories. Okay, I want you all to tell me that before the night is over. I'm not gonna tell you.
Would it fear or fear be one of them? If
What's
fear is
that?
a term, would fear be one of them?
Fear?
Yeah, like you're not like it's like you're not knowledgeable about it and you're afraid to but you're afraid to step out into the unknown.
Well, fear is one of them, but that wasn't the four categories of study that involves cryptocurrency. Um, it was economics. It was, I see Miss Debbie is typing it in the chat. Cryptography, right? History and science, computer science. So these four areas, a lot of people have challenges already in these four. Well, let's cut off cryptography first to begin with. Nobody even know what cryptography is or what's involved in that, and we'll be talking about cryptography tonight, right? Computer science. A lot of people are still technologically challenged in maneuvering in the technical digital space. And then economics, as I will say this point related even to the video, may have referenced it, is that economists, they get away with a lot of stuff by using big jargon, big words, because they are clear and they know the little man doesn't understand half of the terminology, right? So what we would call thief in one language, they would call larceny in another language, right? Or fraud. They make it sound so okay. It's not sounding all that bad if I say fraud as opposed to thief. Yeah. So they use and in economics they use a lot of big terms to go over people's heads so that the society doesn't become judgmental on 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 them because of these talk, right? We talk about fiscal measures. We hear that all the time in budget reading, right? Fiscal measure. What's what's a fiscal measure? Yeah, yeah. It means I to try to save the dollar, basically, right? But it's a fiscal measure as if it sounds so sophisticated and nice, and it goes over the little man's head. He doesn't understand that what they really mean is this time to panic really is there and then real crisis with the dollar. They say they will implement a fiscal measure. So I'm just saying this to say that the terminology in economics have escaped a lot of people, right? The most people might know about economics is the word budget, and we know the word budget from our own little spaces and our own little experiences of what we call a budget, which may not necessarily even really be a budget too. But that's a talk for another time. So the point is that um, we are going to go in tonight to the whole idea of cryptocurrency and what exactly is involved in cryptocurrency. Um, because last week we dealt with the whole journey and the trajectory as to how cryptocurrency developed or came about. And I will use the word tonight. It is a fiscal measure of the future. Cryptocurrency is a fiscal measure of the future, or actually no, yeah. And it's so important that we understand. One of the things I want to give you for homework is everybody to join Twitter. And I know some of you might say they're not into social media and stuff, but the reason why I'll tell you to join Twitter is because the Twitter space is the best, one of the most best spaces that cryptocurrencies, you can follow cryptocurrencies, developments, sessions, there's have summits, talks, all these kind of things. You want to subscribe to Twitter and get a Twitter account and begin to, and I will send you some tips from time to time as who you could add as a friend and that kind of thing. Not really add, in fact, it doesn't be add as a friend, but it's basically the follow. So you can follow cryptocurrency projects and begin to understand the language and the jargon and all the things that come with it. But let's kind of break up tonight what is cryptocurrency, right? So cryptocurrency is a digital form of currency created to function as a medium of exchange, right? It is a virtual asset that works much like traditional paper money. Yet they don't want it, right? But why? Because it doesn't have a centralized authority controlling it. That's why they don't want it. That's the difference between cryptocurrency and paper money. There's no centralized authority controlling it. Instead, cryptocurrencies use advanced cryptography to secure transactions and prevent counterfeiting. So up front, we see some terminologies here. We see cryptocurrency is a currency. It is digital. It is currency. It can act as a medium of exchange. It is a virtual asset. There's so much in this definition. Yeah. It uses cryptography, advanced cryptography, and it secures transactions. So if you were to just put pointers, those are some of the pointers you want to pull out of this definition, right? And we're going to be going into cryptography tonight. Anybody ever heard about that word before? Cryptography. If you've heard that word before, type one in the chat. If you've heard the word cryptography before, type one in the chat. Right? Cryptography. Right? Again, you hear the word cryptic. When you hear something cryptic, it's talking about something that is hidden. Yeah? Right. So cryptography is the practice or the concept of hiding something. Hiding what? Hiding data in plain sight, right? It uses what we call mathematical codes, right? So this is the mathematics aspect of it as well. Another thing that a lot of people are not good in, right? So cryptography is the science of creating mathematical codes. It uses algorithms to scramble information into an encrypted format, right? So it uses algorithms. This encrypted information can be transmitted securely and descrambled by whoever receives it. So to understand cryptocurrency, understand that the technique of mathematics is involved in the development or the design of cryptocurrency. You don't have to know all the fine details because you're not going to be a developer to create a cryptocurrency, unless if that's your intention. Well, then you have to go and learn much more and deeper, intense information. But for the very average person and for the person, it's like you jump in your car daily, but you don't always know how everything in the bonnet works. Yet we trust that car every day to take us to and fro our destination. Worse again, if you're jumping in a taxi, you don't even know how the taxi driver's car is working. But we trust to jump in that taxi every day and trust that it will take us from one point of destination to another. So why is it with cryptocurrency? If somebody wants to know every single thing about it, you don't have to know every single thing, fine detail how it operates. All right, just like how you don't know every fine detail as to how electricity comes to your home, but you benefit from the electricity, you maximize the electricity, and you even pay for the electricity. Yeah. And if I go to even more deeper points, for example, everything you have in your house, a lot of things you have in your house is made in China. How many of you all know how those things are made and the stress that poor people in China go through to make those products so the Western world can live and benefit by it? So somebody will say, well, that's it. I'm not going to buy nothing made in China. But it's not only China. It's in Hong Kong, it's in Malaysia, it's in all over the world. These things, but we don't get the fine details of all these things. We trust that whatever we have invested in or purchased, that it will work for us and do what it was supposed to do. So it's no different with cryptocurrency. However, knowing a little bit about how it operates will give you an easy way of understanding the jargon and understanding how it relates to your activity, because we are talking about decentralization. In other words, you are not going to line up in a line anymore and have a line up mentality where you are depending on a teller to do all the work for you. You bring your money by the teller. You don't even know what the teller doing on the computer. All you know is that when you leave there, they give you a receipt and tell you that your money in their bank. That, but yet, guess what? It is centralized because just how they tell you your money is in the bank, they could also tell you tomorrow that your money not there anymore. Because we have trust and dependence that they would do what they say. And we have that trust and dependence but because the government says there are regulatory uh, rules that govern the operation, and the regulatory rules that govern the operation, we trust those rules. We trust the government who makes those rules. So you would see that with fiat currency, there's always this requirement to have trust, to trust the operation, to trust the parties involved. As I mentioned last week, there are people who I know who would have gone to prison because they took 10 cents from everybody's account and made a million. Yet we trust the institution with our money, not knowing that they are lending it to big guys, big players, and you getting minimal interest from it. Not knowing that they're taking it and going on the forex market and trading it and making billions of dollars and then putting back your money there with a little thing inside there. But we trust what cryptocurrency does, and the idea with cryptography is that you are no longer required to trust. It just is. It's like if someone asks you to write a zero, it is not a matter of trusting if it's a zero or not. It is what it is. It's a zero. And so in cryptography, the codes that are created is just what it is. And they are appended to identities that nobody will know based on it's the way it's set up. And we just trust that it is what it says it is. In fact, you don't even have to trust, it just is. Right? So we're going to talk a little bit about cryptography. And then we have a nice little exercise. If you have a computer, I would encourage you in the meantime to go to, where is it? Uh, what site is it again? I'll find it for you in a while. I'll find it for you in a while. Right. So while you listening to me, if you have a computer, just add a tab on your website and go to this. I'm typing it out on the chat. Tools for noobs. That's not. Let me take out capital. Tools for noobs.com. All right. It's not a capital. I only have a capital T. It is a common T actually. So you can type that in your chat and pull up that site in the meantime. And we'll go and do an exercise after this brief thing here. So here we have cryptography. And cryptography, there are two types of cryptography. There's what we call symmetric key cryptography, and then there's asymmetric cryptography. But before, let's look at what some of these terminologies are about. Let me just pull up. All right, all right. So cryptography. Cryptography is where you have a plain text, as you see in the chart there, a plain text that is encrypted. Therefore, it's converted into a cipher text, meaning a code, a string of numbers and letters, a code that is in the place of and hiding the real plain text that you've typed. And then through decryption, you send it to whoever, and they on the other side, they have to have a key, which is also a string of code. Sometimes it is a string of words as it relates. And that key unlocks the code, it unlocks the hidden writing, and it converts it back to plain text. That's simply what cryptography is, right? It's about hiding something in plain sight by overshadowing it with something else, right? So to communicate privately with somebody, you must communicate the key through secret meter seal envelopes or trusted couriers, right? When you share that key, that person on the other side will be able to unlock the 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 code, right? So we have this concept of a key being used, and the word is symmetric, meaning it's the same key used to encrypt the document or decrypt the document. So symmetric key cryptography, you can encrypt and you can decrypt. We're using the same key or the same code. So I'm going to just stop sharing for a minute, and we're going to see this demonstrated on this site that I encourage you to just go to, Tools for Noobs. Okay, where is it go? Tools for Noobs. Let me just pull it up here. All right. So we're on Tools for Noobs. And I'm going to show you a simple encryption exercise that you could do on your own at home, wherever you are. Let me just share the whole screen. Let me just stop sharing and share the whole screen so every person can see clearly what is being done. Let me just basic. Okay, so you should be seeing my screen now. Everybody seeing the screen? Type one in the chat. If you're seeing the screen, let me just know that you're seeing the screen. All right. Okay, great. All right. So online encrypt tool. So tools for noobs. You go to this area mark online tools, click on it, and you have various options come up. One of which is to encrypt a document or something. So what we're gonna do, as the note said earlier, it is about creating codes, and you're gonna use something called an algorithm, which is basically a program. We're using an algorithm called Blowfish algorithm, and a mode, you leave all this the same. Encode the output using base 64, which is a type of text. And I'm gonna put in here, actually somebody tell me what to put. Tell me what to type here. Give me a phrase or anything. Anybody? Nobody have nothing? Give me something to type now.
Type money versus currency.
Money versus currency. Okay. So I'm going to send a message. Money versus currency. Right. So here it is. This is the message I want to send to somebody. All I need to do is create a key. There are a string of numbers or letters. I'm going to use numbers in this case. I'm going to use, let's say, prime even numbers. Even numbers 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 0. That's my key. And then I'm going to encrypt it. Look at what happens. I encrypt it. This is now the message. Money versus currency is now encrypted, and this is the code that is being sent. So what has to happen now? If I want to send a message to one of you, and I say, listen, I want to send a message to you, I would send the key. I'll WhatsApp you 24680 and say, this is the key. The person on the other side is going to go to what we call the online decrypt tool, which is similar to the encrypt tool. And now in here, I want to get the message. So all I'm going to do, I have to make sure the algorithm is the same, Blowfish, right, which is the programming used to encrypt it. And I'm going to go to what the message is. So I'm going to paste the encoded message. Oops, that's the wrong message. Let me go back. Where did my encryption go? Let me encrypt it again. Okay, so I'm copying this, and this is the message I'm sending to somebody. So I'm going to the online decrypt tool now, and I'm sending this message to them. Bam. But they can't read it. They can't read this message. So what do they do? I'm just changing programming to make sure it's the same language we're using. I have to type send the key for them to unlock it. There it is, 24680. And then I'm going to click decrypt this. Look, results. You see there? Money versus currency, right? So I have just done symmetric encryption by encrypting a message into ciphertext. This is what we call ciphertext. And the key was the same key that was used to create it, is the same key that was now used to decrypt it here later, decrypt the ciphertext back into plain text. So I just give you an illustration, live illustration of encryption and decryption. Wouldn't be amazing? You could send emails to each other using this method, right? Where it's encrypted, nobody can see your message, and only you can see this message. You could probably encrypt uh your wallet number, your password, your passcode for your will or your safe or whatever. You could encrypt it and have the key put away and give the instructions to go to online decrypt tool, use the algorithm, and use this key and encrypt, bam, and get your passcode. Isn't that amazing? This is the technology cryptocurrency was built with and utilizing, right? So I just wanted to give you that wonderful illustration. Let me come out of this now. Let me stop sharing and let's get back to our presentation here, right? So isn't that a fun exercise in a kind of way? Yeah, I should send you all an assignment with that and let you all decrypt it for homework. I think I'll do that. I think I will do that. I'll post it on the chat and you all will decrypt the message. Just to give you an exercise of feeling of what's involved in the whole idea of cryptography. Okay, let me share the screen again, and we're going to go to a portion of the screen. Right, back to what we were dealing with. So we have symmetric key cryptography. Okay, let me just make sure you could see that. Actually, you students are the first batch of students getting this exercise. The previous class would not have done this exercise. So you all are really benefited. Huh?
Correct is so true, true, true. I was blown away with what I saw just. Yeah.
Right? So you're not gonna get this in any session like this outside there. Right? And just trying to expand the page, the screen here. Uh, all right, so let's continue. So you have symmetric key cryptography. Then we have asymmetric, which is obviously the opposite of symmetric, right? And asymmetric cryptography, you have a sender, just like I want to send you a message. You're sending a plain text by encrypting it into a ciphertext. Then there's a decryption have to take place on the other side, back into plain text, so they can receive it. But the difference is that there is no requirement for what we call a public key and a private key. Different keys are used to encrypt the message and to decrypt the message. So symmetric was using the same key, 24680, to both encrypt and decrypt. But here now, 24680 might be one to encrypt, but to decrypt might be 135790. It's a whole different string of numbers that was created, a private key that only that person have access to. So it's like your PIN number for your bank card, right? Your private key is like your PIN number for your bank card. Your public key would be like your account number where anybody could go and deposit funds into your account. You want to show the whole world your account number because you want, yeah, sure, come and put some money in it, right? But in terms of a private key, you don't show the whole world your PIN number, right? Because once they have that, they have access. So in this case, cryptography is about basically using same mathematical concept and formula to send, in this case, transactions, a transactional record that is encrypted in the form of ciphertext, and a key called a public key is now shown in its place. And you can send a public key to anybody because it's like your account number. But to access what inside that public key, you have to have the private key to unlock it. So cryptocurrencies have what we call public keys and private keys, particularly when you're using platforms that host cryptocurrencies, I should say, really. So platforms that host cryptocurrencies require oftentimes public keys and private keys. And this is what makes something centralized or decentralized. Because a centralized system means that there's one key using. And that one key, everybody, that person, anybody can have access. So that one key have access to your account. But when there is a private key, it is now that carries with it a decentralized nature. You are now in control of your holdings in that account. And that's why we have what we call exchanges, which are like brokerage houses that hold cryptocurrencies. And these exchanges have can be considered centralized even though they're dealing with a decentralized cryptocurrency. Because what we are often told to do is to go into this exchange and buy crypto, and you leave the crypto in that exchange. But guess what happens? As you leave the crypto in that exchange, if they did not give you the private key to access the crypto anytime you want, then you are at risk of, you are in a centralized system. Unless they give you the private key, you are still operating in a centralized platform. So a lot of trading, crypto trading platforms like Binance, you would hear terms like words like Binance and all these other platforms using cryptocurrency, using private key, public keys, you know. So it is important for you to 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 know the difference. Know the difference, you know. Know the difference. I just uh watching, yeah, right. So it's important for you to know the difference. So this is why you would hear the word come up now, DeFi. I'm sure you probably hear me using it a lot too, DeFi or decentralized finance. Decentralized finance is decentralized because you have access to your private keys, and you're using platforms that have that gives you access to your private keys that you now can hold and take out and move your crypto as you like. You can still do it in regular exchanges, you know, but you know what? I think I mentioned it last week. I can't remember if it's this class. There's so much I might mention it. I can't remember if it's this class, but I'll mention it again. A few years ago, a guy was on a plane. He was the owner of an exchange, and the plane crashed and he died. And he had all the keys on him for everybody's accounts in the exchange. Because without the keys, you can't unlock the accounts. So he died. And so everybody who had funds in that exchange must be felt like they died because they would have lost access to their accounts. This is how serious it is. So this is why the DeFi space is so important to know about and to understand, because now you have access to your own crypto whenever you want to maneuver, to shape around, right? The SEC, which you'd hear talk about a lot, SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, and even the counterparts, they have been on a continual drive to shut down cryptocurrency exchanges. But they can't touch DeFi spaces. They can't touch decentralized finance spaces. You know why? Because the Security Exchange Commission deals with uh, organizations that are controlling other persons' assets or securities. But because you're in a DeFi space, you are controlling your own securities. So they can't come and manipulate or adjust or shut down that space because the space itself not controlling nobody's accounts. So that's the benefit between a centralized and a decentralized platform. So you're learning something that even the first class last few groups didn't even get this information. You'll get me at a good time tonight. Right? So it is important for us to know these things. The note says in modern cryptocurrency systems, a user's wallet, so we have something called a wallet as well, or account address has a public key. So that's what the public key is about. It's connected to a wallet, a digital wallet. Somewhere on some server, there's a holding that's holding crypto. And they have a digital record of what you have in that wallet, so that you have access to it via the public key and the private key. The public key will be the location on which it is stored, and the private key will be acting as a form of a signature. It's like a signature, right? It's used to sign transactions. So you use the private key like your signature on a check. And what do they have to do when they sign a check? They have to go and verify the check to ensure that the signature is right or matching with the person. Well, that there'll be problems for me because my signature changes every day. There are certain things that may stay the same. So some of you may know about that if you're in the banking industry and so forth. So the thing is that you want to be able to have access, and the keys give you access, and it's holding in a it holds in a wallet. It holds in a wallet. Yeah, and you can fund transfers. Fund transfers are completed with minimal processing fees, allowing users to avoid the steep fees charged by banks and financial institutions for wire transfers. Cryptocurrency, because of its cross-border feature, which also is what wire transfers are used for in traditional financial systems. You don't have to pay the exorbitant prices. You can now pay for very low, sometimes less than a cent, to send some transactions via cryptocurrency. You hear that? Less than a cent. So if I have to send money to Senorita, or Senora, I should say that's your mother, your Spanish mother in Venezuela, I would use cryptocurrency rather than going Western Union. I could send 100 US there and pay about 2 cents to send it. Whereas in Western Union, every 100 US is 10 US they charge. So, so this is where the cryptocurrency space really is beneficial for cross-border transactions, right? Cryptocurrencies are peer-to-peer and rely on the cryptographic technology to protect your assets. This means that cryptocurrencies are actually more like stock than conventional money. Yeah? So it's more like stock than conventional money, you know? So it's important for persons to understand that and how stock works. We have time to go into that tonight. We actually talk about that in another course, right? But let's carry on. What makes cryptocurrency so unique? Well, I basically touched on the first one already. It is decentralized. It is decentralized, right? Um, it means that there are no third party. It's not built upon trust or authority, but on maths and technology. This means that nobody could block your transaction, and there are no restrictive monetary policies about these assets, right? The next thing that
One
makes
thing
crypto, yes?
is to back God. I was not asking to propagate side what was very
Oh, right. So yeah, so what makes it unique again is the anonymity or the pseudonymity. I don't try to pronounce that word like me, okay? But the anonymity of the cryptocurrency gives it makes it unique in that identity is hidden. Your identity is hidden. The wallet address usually is a public key. That is your identity. That, therefore, is a game changer for persons who want to have privacy in the transactions, right? Obviously, the word crypto comes from the word cryptic, which means to hide or to be hidden or to be private. You can now hide or hidden. And listen, don't. I know we have the this concept where we talk about I do everything in the open because I have nothing to hide, right? And therefore I'm out in the open. Listen, there is more than just hiding is not just when you want to do something wrong. Yes, there are a lot of people who do wrong things that hide, but you also want to hide sometimes so that wrong would not be committed upon you, right? Wrong would not be committed upon you. You are not hiding because you're doing something wrong. Or I'll use the word hiding, but it's really privacy. Privacy is to protect you from people doing you wrong. Otherwise, when you're checking your money, your big $3,000, $5,000, when you get paid, you don't go in the middle of Gulf City Mall or in the middle of the market and just pull out your wad of cash and count it on the middle of the high street, pull it out in the open and be pulling from each paper to the next paper, loud chip 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 and counting. You wouldn't do that, right? Yes, as Chantel put it right, discretion will keep you. It's about protecting your assets. And so the anonymity helps to protect your assets. Yeah. Uh, Crypto transactions don't reveal the identities of the parties involved in it. Crypto coins move from address to address, which are nothing more than 30 character long randomly generated chains. It is not possible to connect the transaction to a real world person. And that's where the banks have problems, and that's where security experts talk about the whole idea of drug users and traffickers using cryptocurrency and all the bad people in the world using cryptocurrency. But really and truly, the report has shown that 85% of the wrongdoings in the world are done with cash, with legal tender, not cryptocurrency. So those things that they tell us to scare us, to make you feel guilty about getting into a particular space by giving it a stigma, is not going to work on anybody here from now on, correct? Amen. That's it. Right? It's not going to work on anybody, right? That's a stigma created to generate fear. That is what is created to generate fear. So that you would not be able, you would not dare enter and be set free. Cryptocurrency transactions are permanent. That's another thing. We talk about blockchain next week, the technology used in cryptocurrency. But as a block has been added to a blockchain, nobody could reverse or cancel the transaction. This extreme security works both ways. On one hand, nobody can dispute your ownership. On the other hand, if scammers and hackers take away your money, you can't do anything about it. So that's why when you're studying the crypto space, you also have to study crypto security or cyber security. That is also a major part. And we actually, our last session, we deal with that. The importance of securing your transaction, securing what you do. Yeah. So permanence, there's a sense of permanence. Once it's gone, it's gone. There's a record, you send your wallet, people see, they have the proof of the receipt of the transaction because it's recorded now on the blockchain. You hear about that in a while. So it's permanent. What makes crypto so unique is that it's global. You could be in China. I've done it several times, send stuff to people all over the world, all over the world, right? And it moves. Well, some cryptos used to move at the speed of light, but some others don't move at the speed of light again. But it moves much faster than a wire transfer, which takes 6 to 7 days to send from one country to the next. In a matter of minutes, 10 minutes tops, a transaction is sent from one place to another using the blockchain, which we'll talk about next week. So, this kind of efficiency is unmatched. You can make these transactions regardless of location and buy things from across the world without any of the usual lag. Yeah. So, the global reach. which is where we are. This is why now you can have an online business and it can be global if you accept payment in cryptocurrency. So it's so important for you to be able to understand the whole idea behind that. It is safe, well, safer. Cryptography behind crypto coins mean they are almost impossible to hack. Even if someone tries to hack them, they'll be better off mining cryptocurrency using the same resources to try to hack. This means there's no real risk to your wallet as long as your password and your private key is safe. It is important that your password and your private key is safe. If most people get hacked, not because of the technology or the cryptography has been hacked, they get hacked because they are standing at the entrance of the door to the bank before you go into the bank, the virtual bank. So they get you at the access where they could get you before you go into the space. By getting what? By getting your passwords, your codes, your private keys, your public keys. That is what they get access to. And once you have access to that, you have access to your crypto. This is why the encryption tool I'm showing you tonight is a very beautiful tool to use. Yeah? So that you can encrypt your information, print it out, take it off the computer. Because the computer can be hacked. Can be hacked. Right? Just before you enter in. And we'll talk about those things in the last session. There's something called a keylogger, where someone mirrors your keyboard. And every time you type, they are seeing what you're typing. Right? Gaining access to your passcodes and so forth. So you want to be able to be free from those things. Yeah. The other benefit of cryptocurrency is that there's a fixed supply, therefore no inflationary rates. No inflationary rates. Since no central bank can print more crypto coins on behalf, the supply is controlled and globally known. Bitcoin will reach its final number sometime in the 22nd century. The programming that goes in each cryptocurrency is the only thing that controls the fixed supply. So when you're building your crypto, you could actually design it where you want to add more crypto or you want to burn crypto. Burning crypto is a term simply refers to moving the coins into a wallet that nobody could access away from everybody and removing it from the circulating supply so that so that one can then benefit. So a fixed supply means that as more of it goes out and distributed to people, and there's a smaller and smaller supply, the price will go upper and upper. Yeah. So no inflationary rates you have to worry about. That's one of the benefits of cryptocurrency. Very briefly, the advantages and disadvantages of cryptocurrency. The advantages: cryptos hold the promise of making it easier to transfer funds directly between two parties without the need for a trusted third party like a bank or credit card company. These transfers are instead secured by the use of the public keys and private keys and different forms of incentive systems like proof of work and proof of stake. So it's very important for you to understand that cryptocurrency, listen, it's a beautiful space. Beautiful. And you have control. Yeah, you have control. And another advantage is the technology behind it. We'll be talking about this in our next class next week. Blockchain can actually be thought of as a combination of several different existing technologies. Whilst these technologies themselves aren't new, it is the ways in which they are combined and applied which brought about blockchain. I say you would have heard that term being thrown about all over the place: blockchain, blockchain, blockchain. Next week, make sure and don't miss the class and come and hear what blockchain is all about. In a nutshell, it is a technology that is used that facilitates the public and private keys of various cryptocurrencies. And the blockchain now gives you this freedom that you can you know uh, move about without fear and having to wonder if the person will. It's not a person in a sense. It's a programming. Yeah. And very briefly, I'll give you this here, and we'll leave it here. So there are three primary components of blockchain, the technology, right? Three primary components. You have the private key cryptography, right? Which is one of the primary components of blockchain. You have what we call a shared ledger or a distributed network. Then you have, thirdly, means of accounting for the transactions and records related to the network. So even in blockchain, cryptography has a major part to play in the development, in the hiding, in the holding of uh, your digital assets, right? The shared ledger, distributed ledger, basically that record of all the transactions. And because they don't know who you are, all they know is they have the string of numbers, bought 40 Bitcoin. Is that you people? Right? 40 Bitcoin. So in the distributed ledger, 40 Bitcoin is recorded across a whole network. But the objectives rely based on the reasoning behind sharing all these things. Of course, the accounting through the transparency and the transactions that are being done and the records relating to the network. So you are hiding in plain sight, literally. Literally. So with that, I want to stop here now and facilitate any questions or comments on this discussion this evening.